Oh, moving on. Charles Elvis Nielsen, what a cool name, Charles Elvis Nielsen, says, restoration possible? Yeah, yeah, restoration is possible. It's always possible. Restoration, like decline, is a choice. And it's an individual choice. And when the individual choice is taken by enough members, then it becomes a group choice. And when enough members in the group make that choice, then it becomes history. I've said several times, I know I don't want to beat this into the ground, but Winston Churchill decided to fight the Germans when everybody else had fallen, and when the smart play was to agree with the Germans. The smart play was to try to make the best deal you could, and he decided no. Personally, he decided no, and he rallied the people of Britain behind him, and so his choice became history, and we can make the same choice. And the restoration of our values could create America better than one has ever been. You have to believe that. I'm going to do a quick aside because I noticed over in the streaming section here on Ustream. So for those of you who may have only seen the show on Ustream, somebody was asking where do you get the questions entered, and that's for Alan Hunt. Alan, and for those of you who may not know, I just don't want this to go. The questions for every show are available on my Facebook page. And we put up a post about 2 hours before showtime, and I close it about 30 minutes before showtime. And we usually get 150 questions in that 90 minutes. So if you want to know how to get a question on the show, it goes into the Facebook page under the Stratosphere Lounge thing. And again, if I opened it much earlier than 90 minutes before the show, I'd have 500 questions I had to pick from. And I always feel bad about passing up so many good questions. I just have to try to do ones I haven't done before or seem kind of appropriate or topical or something that I'm not doing an awful lot of talking about on Afterburner and all the rest of the stuff. So anyway, to the restoration thing, Charles, it's important to believe that it's possible. In fact, it's important to believe that it's likely. You have to believe it. The pendulum swings one way to another. I'm sure the progressives in the height of the Reagan Revolution, when Reagan won 49 states, never thought, many of them thought, that's it, we're never going to get back in the game, and these conservatives are going to win forever. And it doesn't happen that way. I think the only way that conservatives win forever is if the progressives completely get their way. And then we have this economic and financial collapse, and people are sitting around burning tires, eating rats on spits, and wondering what happened. And then you might have a majority that might last for 50 years or 60. But even the Civil War didn't create a majority that lasted much longer than, 30, 40 years. Republican majority after winning a war against the American people, the biggest catastrophe in our history. The Republicans won the war, and the Republicans won the Civil War for the North, not the Northern Democrats who wanted the South back, slaves and all. It was a Republican majority throughout the country, and especially through the South, for 30, 40, 50 years. But that changes. So yes, a restoration is possible. It's always possible. It always goes back and forth. You just have to keep fighting, and it's like any other conflict that goes on forever. You just have to keep putting more men and women into the field than they do. And, we lost the last 2 elections because we didn't vote. We wish it weren't true, but it's true. We had enormous numbers of people sit out, and we thought we'd win in 2012 because we thought more Democrats would sit out. They certainly seemed less motivated and less active at the polls, but things like the Trayvon thing and all the other stuff, ginning up this race riot, of the Republicans wanting to put people back on plantations. Thank you, Joe Biden. Or we want to ship their lady parts over to China in binders, and all that stuff worked. It worked. We didn't get out, and they did. And they used Facebook in astonishing ways, and in some ways it turns out may even be illegal, but it's water under the bridge now. Things like if you're a Democrat or if you liked the Obama stuff, you wouldn't just say, hey, don't forget to vote today. Everybody would get that. Even Republicans could figure that out. But the Democrats would get, if you were on Facebook, you would get, hey, it's 3 p.m. in your time zone, and Mary Joseph, who lives just 2 blocks away from you, hasn't voted yet. Why don't you go by or send her a message and see if you could take her down to the polls to help Obama keep the progressive agenda alive? And that worked. So we used software called Orca, which had never been tried before. It was all in one room with a number of servers, and they turned it on, and guess what? It crashed. They used software called Facebook, which is on God knows how many servers, and servicing 450 million people a day. So much for the genius management aspect. Anyway, hang in there, Charles, and hang in there, Brian. What now? I don't know. Hold on with your fingernails. Is a restoration possible? If I didn't believe it, I wouldn't be here. So I think that's really it.